Hey guys, okay, so I've said it before and I'll say it again. Boundaries and fences do not always line up. If you've got a property that's a small lot, so a block less than 450 square metres, in a character area, so TBC, traditional building character area, in one of those inner city locations, I'm talking like Milton, Paddington, Annerley, Wollongabba, you get the idea. And if the boundary fence just ever so conveniently happens to line up perfectly with eaves or the window hoods, then chances are that that boundary fence has been constructed to align with the house rather than with the property boundary. So, what happens if you get the survey back and oopsie daisy, your house happens to encroach over that property boundary? Maybe just the window hoods, maybe more than window hoods, could be the whole entire side of the house. Then what do you do? Well, in super simple terms, you have 4 different options. Now, I did a video on this, I think it was probably like one of my first videos. Might have been about 4 years ago. Anyway, just to recap really quickly, 4 options. First option, full demolition. I can tell you now, probably not going to be approved. Go back and have a look at the video I did in December where I talked about what hoops you actually need to jump through to get a pre-47 and a pre-1911 house removed. But like I said, chance of success really slim. Second option, realign the boundary. So basically move the side boundary across and take over some of the neighbour's property. Again, sounds nice and easy, it ain't easy. Go back and have a look at the video that I did just before Christmas where I talk about why it's so complicated and messy. Next best option, easement. Now, you don't need to jump through quite as many hoops as you do with the realignment, but it's still going to be expensive. Like, you're still got to give neighbours something because you're going to constrain their property. So generally speaking, it's not an option we see off the ground. Which brings us to, or get off the ground, I should say, which brings us to our final option, the one that most people seem to land on. It's either partial demolition and or relocation to get a reduced side setback. Now, when it comes to these sort of scenarios, if you have less than 1 metre to the wall, so between the side boundary and the wall, you trigger the need for a town planning application. When it comes to these applications, council's looking at probably 2 key things. Firstly, amenity impacts. Are you going to reduce the neighbour's access to sunlight, daylight, breezes, all of that sort of stuff? Now, you can usually address those issues or those concerns, let's just call it, via the submission of letters of support from the neighbours or sun shadow diagrams, all of that sort of stuff. The next thing they look at is, are you going to get building approval from the certifier? More specifically, are you going to comply with the fire rating requirements? Now, this is the point of today's video. This is what I want to talk about here. In the past, what a certifier does is they turn around and say, okay, you're going to need an alternate solution because you're going within 900 of the boundary. So alternate solution means you need to get a fire engineer involved. They need to do a special assessment to determine what you need to do to still stack up with the fire requirements. Now, in the past, those reports always came back and they said 2 key things. Firstly, you need to rip off all the cladding and replace it with fire retardant materials, and then you need to fill in all the windows. Now, council naturally goes, I mean, cladding and windows, they're integral features. They're key components to the streetscape. It's what makes a cutesy house cute. We're not letting you remove those things. And clients naturally sat there and just went, windows, I need windows. I can't have dungeons for rooms down the side of my house. Like, that's not going to stack up. So more often than not, people just went, nah, not going to go down that path. The other solution, let's just call it, that I often saw was that they would propose, when I say they, the fire engineers, would propose sprinklers down the side of the house. Now, I've only ever seen this go ahead on one job. It was in Nunda. And the main reason being cost. It just costs too much money to put that infrastructure in. So, more often than not, once we got those fire reports back, clients looked at it, council looked at it, and everyone just went, nah, not going to happen. And we kind of got to this stalemate. Well, at the end of last year, I just had a run of these jobs and I started to see a bit of a shift, which is what I want to talk about today. I started to see a lot of these fire reports coming back, not a lot, a couple of fire reports coming back, where they were proposing different solutions. So instead of ripping all the cladding off, they were proposing to paint the cladding with a fire retardant sort of paint. And instead of removing the windows and filling them in, they were proposing to make them, I think it's called like 60-60-60 classified windows. I don't know what the terms are. It's building certification legislation, not town planning legislation, so not my game. But in super simple terms, what they meant is you rip out the timber windows. They're usually sash windows because they're usually pre-1911 houses. So rip out those windows and replace them with similar looking metal windows that they might have had double glazing. Don't quote me on that. But the key part there is that they are sealed shut, so you can't open them. Now, I'm the first to admit that's not a good outcome. Like Queenslanders, you're supposed to be able to open them up, let the breezes flow through. That's what they're designed for. But when you consider the alternative previously, which was filling in those windows, okay, it's probably not so bad. Some people don't mind it. Like if you're the client I went to see at the end of last year in Paddington, she looked at it and went, no, I need those windows open. If you tell me that that's what I've got to do, I'm not going to go ahead with the renovation. Whereas another client that I went to see a couple of weeks ago in Milton, she was like, I never opened those windows. I couldn't give a damn. You can go ahead and do that. And I was like, oh, well, okay. I guess that's my way of looking at it. So yeah, the moral of the story, or the point I want to get across today is if you turn up to a property that's a small lot, character area, and it's a protected house, if the boundary fence just ever so conveniently happens to line up with the side of the house, then that needs to be an alarm bell to you to go, oh, we need to get a surveyor out here. We need to work out whether we're encroaching across the boundary. If it turns out that you're encroaching across the boundary, you need to get some certification advice to find out, and have a chat to a fire engineer as well to find out what the implications are. You need to then have a chat to the client to work out, okay, are they ready for those implications financially and in terms of the practical sort of outcome? Because there is no point going through all of the process of designing a dream renovation, getting planning approval, all that stuff, if the we won't even get through planning approval now, but basically getting to that point if the certification stuff doesn't stack up. It just leads to so many tears. So please look at this stuff up front. Okay, I think that covers off everything I wanted to talk about this week. As I always say, until next time, thanks for watching.
For all you red tape lovers out there, I have one thing to say. Well, no, actually, I've got three. Number one, the advice provided in these videos is general in nature. It's not site specific. You would be a silly billy to go and make financial decisions based on this advice without first checking with the town planner. Don't be a silly billy. Number two, Brisbane town planning is in no way linked to Brisbane City Council. The views expressed in these videos are my own, not council's. So if you don't like them, blame me, not council. Number three, what was my number three? Oh yeah, the views expressed in these videos are accurate at the time of recording. If you're watching this video back 10 years from now, the views may not be so accurate. That's all.